Hey guys, I'm Pineapple Brain. Today I'm going to show you how to make global script executing some entity script. So normally it is not possible, but today we make it possible. So we have some demonstration here. I'm not going to try all situation, but I'm going to demonstrate it to you with this situation where when player join again, we open a dialog to them. So the dialog is here what we make the dialog test, and we have only one option, and when the player press this button we will change the sprite scale of the unit that they are selecting, and this will be done in entity script part. So the change scale is done in the entity script. So let's see here. The change sprite scale, what it does is change scale of this entity, which is homie, to 10. So quite simple, but we want to make it execute from here. So the difficult part is here. So we need one more script here first. This is change sprite scale of selected unit of player. So no trigger. The only trigger is that we triggered by the dialog option. So here you need to change the run script here to change sprite scale something here. So save it. It's done. The dialog part, and then we close the dialog and go to the homie and open the world again. So we are not going to make some script here first, because when you try to just execute entity script from the global script, it is not possible. So don't try it. We are going to the entity that you want the global script to execute the entity script. So here I want homie to change sprite scale. So I go inside the homie here, click it. So we need to create one extra attribute here and one extra variable here. So what do I want to call it is message receiver. We can leave the initial value as the maximum, and we need to change the regeneration rate into the maximum as well, and this is supposed to regen over time when it resets to 0. So this message receiver, and then we have a variable called a message. So for the simplicity, we will use the data type string, and it could be either a normal string or a JSON array string. If you are more advanced, you will know what I'm talking about later, but I will just briefly explain that. So currently we make message receiver and message here, and we can save it and go to the global script. So we have default value here. So the default value, so I don't know why, but it doesn't exist here. We need to add it back to variable, the message. So we have the default value message receiver as 100, the maximum value. The message is undefined, and we want to send something from the global script to the entity script to tell the entity to execute something. So we want to make the entity attribute becomes 0. So the attribute type is message receiver. The entity is the selected unit of the last player selecting a dialog option, which we have made when player join here. So this line of script, we will reset the message receiver to 0, and because it will regen over time, but it immediately regenerated, so actually we can go to the entity script and create a new script called on message received. So this message is a trigger we required, which is when this entity attribute become full, so because we reset it to 0, but it is able to regenerate. So when it becomes full, it will trigger the entity script. So we use the global script changing the attribute to make entity script having this triggered and then executed what we want. So the logic is that. So here we will need to see wherever the attribute is what we want, which is message receiver, and then what is the usage or what it means, the message part. Actually, it is for identify, multiply the more than one messages. Maybe here I can use some example to explain. So I got something that called change sprite scale to run, and I got another thing called spawn enemies to run. But however, if I just directly have one message receiver, I cannot command this entity to choose from change sprite scale or spawn enemies because the entity do not know what I want to do. With the message, I can tell, the global script can tell the entity, I want to change the scale this time and I want to spawn 10 enemies next time. So we use the message to identify which script we are going to run. So here, we will set entity variable the message of the selected unit of last player select a dialog option to scale. So this thing is for more than one entity script from global script call. So I will have one only for the demonstration, but however, if you have more, you will need that. So the order matters. You need to first edit the message that recorded inside this entity, then change the message receiver to trigger it by the attribute become full trigger. So here, we first having the message called scale, and then we reset the message receiver timer attribute. So we got these here, and then we have something here on message received. We will further check wherever this time we want to change the scale instead of spawning enemies. So we need to check the variable message inside this entity wherever it is scale or not. So we will do like this. So inside the then do of this part, we will run the change sprite scale. So this is entity script, change sprite scale. Instead of change sprite scale of selected unit of player, which is inside global script, we want to run the change sprite scale inside the entity script here, which will increase the scale size into 10. So on message received, it will run the change sprite scale, and here we got the player join on dialog. So we got the dialog here. We open to the player immediately once they join, and then when they click the dialog option, we will edit the message of the entity, and then we will start the timer of the entity, and they immediately receive that message because the regeneration rate is very high. It is the maximum of the attribute. So you will see like here, we have the maximum as the same as the regeneration speed. So it will directly immediately receive that message. So here, we will go to the entity part. So when this entity attribute becomes full from the 0, it immediately regenerated to 100. So it becomes full, and this script triggered, and we check that wherever the message receiver is that attribute. So because we got health here and speed here, we got many attributes. We need to identify wherever it is message receiver become full. And then we will further check wherever the message is scale, and then we will do the change sprite scale thing. So here, the more advanced approach is that the message could be a JSON array string where you may store more things. So maybe the first JSON array string element is that similar to this, it is scale, and the first element or the second element or more, we can pass some parameters from the global script to the entity script. For example, I want to change the speed. So I want to change a speed to exactly value. So I calculated inside the global script. I want to pass them here. I just have the message called speed is not enough because we cannot pass the speed calculated here to here, right? But with the JSON array string or an extra load for the message, you can do so. So this is your trial to do the more advanced part, and I will just do the basic part to let you know how to make it. So this is what script looks like, and we can republish and try. So how the global script can execute some entity script, so it is very useful to optimize your game. And here, when we press this button, it will change the sprite scale to 10. So when we click it, this unit is become super large, and it successfully executed the entity script from the global script, and it is really useful. And this is the end of this video. If you like it, don't forget to share and subscribe my YouTube channel. See you in the next video. Bye bye.